All right. Good evening, everyone. We are here for the City of Opa-locka Planning and Zoning Board. Uh, Seem to have a full board tonight, or just about full board. So I'm actually very happy to see this. We do not have the chair with us, so we are going to need to have a substitution. So if there's anyone on the board who would like to serve as the chair for tonight, and it seems like everybody's pointing to Mr. Barnes. And Mr. Barnes hasn't been here in a minute. So, Mr. Barnes,
Exactly.
would you mind serving as the chair for the meeting
Well,
for
no,
this
because I
evening?
hadn't been here for a while, I wouldn't have to do it. But all right, let's go for it.
Okay, the agenda's packet is in front of you. We will follow the agenda as presented. And Mr. Barnes, it is your meeting.
Roll call.
Good evening. Board Member Hibbert Smith,
Present.
Board Member Dominguez,
Here.
Board Member Megan,
I think she meant Megan.
Can you repeat that?
Board Member Don Megan,
Here.
Board Member Williams,
Present.
Board Member Mata,
Present.
um, Chair Barnes,
Present.
attendance confirmed.
Okay. The invocation. Can somebody not me do this?
Maybe bow our heads. Dear Lord, we'd like to thank you for this time, this space, and this opportunity as we attempt to move the city forward with new development, new activities, and progress. We'd like to thank you for the board and their presence. We'd like to thank you for those who are here. We'd like to thank you for those who had a desire to be here but are not here. And in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Now the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So first item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from November 19th, 2024. Have all of the board members had a chance to review those minutes and make sure that everything is accurate with no changes? I'll take that silence as a yes. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
Move it.
May I have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
And for the record, I need to call attendance. Chairman Elio Guerrero, he's absent. Board Member Hibbert Smith,
Yes to them.
this will be for the approval of the minutes.
Yes.
Yes. Board Member Dominguez,
Yes.
Board Member Megan,
Yes.
Board Member Williams,
Yes.
Chair Barnes,
Abstain.
Board Member Mata,
Yes.
minutes approved.
All right, so we'll move into public hearing and the first resolution. The City Commission in City of Opa-locka, Florida, recommending approval denial of Rafe Investments Incorporated site plan review request for the construction of 15 residential units, 3 live-work units, 12 residential units on the vacant parcel site on Alibaba Avenue and identified by folios 082122003239 082122003240 in the BO zoning district and within the Magnolia North mixed use overlay district, provided for an effective date. Do we have a presentation? And
Good evening. My name is Jorge de la Fe. I'm the president of Rafi Investments. We're trying to, I'm going to tell you about the project, right? Yeah, we're trying to build 15 units. 3 units are going to be business, live apartments. The other 12 I'm trying to do for low-income senior citizens. They're going to be done in a way in which the senior citizens will feel comfortable, like the showers are going to be for wheelchair. They're not going to have a bump, because I know at my house I did it. I had a problem lifting my leg over the bump. People could fall. The switch for the lights in the master bedroom is going to be automatic. So if they forget, turn it off. When they walk away 3 minutes later, going to turn it on. Okay. There's going to be cameras everywhere, and access to the cameras. It'll be myself and the tenants. So the more eyes are looking at the hallways and the stairs and the elevator and the parking lot, the best. It's worked for me in other projects in which somebody was trying to break into one in a shopping center, and another one of the tenants called the police because she saw it, because it was 11 o'clock at night and she couldn't sleep, and she started to look at the camera and the phone. And the whole building is going to be concrete block. So very little fire hazard. Let me see what else I got. We're going to put 20 parking spaces. Excuse me, I'm looking at my bullet points. The shower is gonna have a bench, so the senior can sit on it, and a little wand with the water so they can wash their feet comfortable. These are things that people don't think about, but I'm 78 years old and I know I have problems with things like that. So that's why I'm looking at that point. The microwave ovens are not gonna be high, because somebody that's an elderly person tries to put a plate of food or take it out of a microwave that's high, could fall. Usually does. Gonna have a laundry room, which is going to be open certain hours, and I'll probably designate one of the tenants that was most able to be able to open it and close so everybody can have access to it. The door locks are not going to be knobs, they're going to be handles, because it's much easier for a senior to open a handle than to turn when you got arthritis to your hands. Going to be central AC, of course, and heat. And the front doors are going to be open out, so nobody can kick it in. Nobody can come and bang on the door and kick it in. And that's about it. I brought a picture of the color, more or less. It's not the colors but it's the color that the engineer put together.
gotcha.
But the colors will be according to what the city approves.
Are there any questions from any of the board members?
Yes, I have a question. I like the idea. It's beautiful. We definitely need more senior, we definitely need more senior housing. My question is, the maintenance. Who's gonna maintain that once it's built? Is it rental? Was it,
It's a rental, it'll be the owner, myself.
okay,
Keep it clean.
yes, the maintenance of the outside and
Of course,
everything.
right?
Okay. Thank you.
The lighting is going to be a lot of lighting. I know that's very important. Be able to see when you're stepping down. It's not going to be just a place in the light. It will be LED, even inside the unit. LED lighting, so there'll be a lot of lights.
Okay. And you said they were going to be affordable
Yes.
for
Low income-
seniors, low income.
seniors.
Okay,
Section A, low income seniors.
perfect.
Gonna be detailed and made specifically for seniors. Even I'm making it so, I'm hoping one of the parking spot that's underneath the cover area, it's gonna be right next to the elevator. So they can get their groceries into the elevator in their car and go right up. The elevator is gonna be a 4-person elevator.
Okay. And regarding the disabled parking, how many disabled parkings are you gonna have there? Because it's gonna be a lot of seniors.
There's 2 required, I think I put 1 in there. And it's gonna be fenced. Completely, so no one can get in and out. I mean, they can get out. No one, that don't have like the passcode will be able to get in. Trying to make it so safe for our senior citizens to live and feel comfortable.
I'm not sure if it's in this set of documents or not, but one of the things in the packet says lush landscape, but I'm looking for the landscaping plan.
Should be in there in one of these. It's in these. Yeah, what's required by. Another thing I'm doing for, so I won't, so because of the drainage.
Can you speak onto the mic so it
I'm
can be?
sorry.
Yeah, thank you.
Another thing that we're trying to do is, they have something called, a burrito.
Mhm.
Which is it's a piece of cloth 5 feet down, full of rocks. And then they wrap it and then they put more rocks and then the grass on top. So when the rainwater comes from the roof, it goes straight out. You never see water. I know it's a little more expensive, but it's easier because it doesn't create a lot of puddles. So nobody can slip or fall. Part of the plan is supposed to be in there, the package. But I don't know. Be adding.
It's okay at the moment because in a second we'll ask the department and they might have some additional information. So
Grass over the
Yeah.
back, and then one side on the west side, there's
Mhm.
trees there now, big trees, oak trees. There it's gonna be grass and it's gonna be bushes.
Mhm.
And on the front, it's gonna be grass and bushes. Wherever is required, I am gonna put, at least 5 feet from the fence, I make sure that the back fence that faces the train tracks. It's something that's 5 feet away from it, so people can jump in there.
wonderful. Thank you, sir.
Any more questions? Any more questions?
I don't think so. Mr. Lee, do you all have a presentation?
Good evening. Gerald Lee, Planning and Zoning, City of Opa-locka. We do have a small presentation. What I didn't see in my documents was more detail about the landscaping. I do recall that the gentleman did, Mr. Delafaye did provide 3 or 4 renderings of information about landscaping. I'm shocked that it's not there.
Actually, if you look at page 8, if you want to count the pages, there is a site plan that does provide some landscaping information.
Yeah, I saw that part. I was more so looking in response to page 2, which has item number 16 circled about the proposed strategies for tree preservation. And so I was trying to see if there was a plan that actually showed where those actual trees, and the gentleman mentioned the large oaks that are also on the site, but it's not shown on the actual drawing. But sure, that's something that you all have taken into account.
Go take into account for sure. Okay, as far as the presentation is concerned, you've already seen this legislation. Next slide, please. As you know, the subject property is owned by this gentleman and his investment group. The property is approximately 13,125 square feet. The property zone business office, but it's within the mixed use overlay. So it requires for development that they incorporate both residential and commercial uses. The developer had the idea that instead of trying to do a retail shop at the end of this street on Alibaba, instead, the individuals that would make use of the live work units could do their own business there. And I think that's pretty innovative, given it's not but a 15-unit development, but it's going to be 3 stories. 3 individual business live work individuals will be there, and he's catering it to an elderly population. As it relates to the handicap parking, if it's less than 50 spaces, only one parking space is required. So he's still within the requirements for what he is providing. The information that they provided complies with the zoning code. And so we are in support of a development of this sort, in particular, that was so innovative for such a small property to do so much with so little. The site plan does provide for 20 parking spaces. Those live work units are going to not only take care of the 2 parcels that are there, but he's already submitted for a unity of title so that these properties can never be sold separately. I think when you look at the site, it would be compatible with the area because he's going to help with the development of this area by bringing new units, new uses, a different kind of retail or business opportunity for the area, and it's not in conflict with what's around it. If you notice, the other properties that are also on that side of Alibaba, the south side of Alibaba, are also zone BO and within the Magnolia North overlay. And the properties across the street are a mixture of B1 and R1 zoning. I think we provided, please move forward. I'm sorry, I didn't even look over. Move forward. Okay, and again. And again. That's what the property looks like. It's completely vacant. Next slide, please. That's just another picture of the same. Staff is in in agreement that this project should be supported. I remain for any questions that you may have.
Any questions from the board?
I have a question. When I looked at the address, there was a different, I don't know if I was looking at something else, but I saw something different. Also, there was like a house that,
Okay, back this the slide up. On the right side of where those trees are, there is a house.
okay,
That's not the property.
that's not the property.
Yeah, it's the vacant lot here, and then go forward, sir. And that lot. It's those 2 lots.
They're,
Yeah, they're
They're
side
conti-
by side.
they're
Yeah.
side by, because one address is 1804 and the other one is 1816, correct?
Yes, ma'am. If you look at it on
Okay.
Miami-Dade property appraiser's website,
Mhm.
they both have addresses. And it would make me think, I haven't researched it, I didn't look, but it would make me think that back in the day, many of those 2,400 square foot properties were shotgun houses.
Okay.
And so they may have had something on them way back, you know, maybe 10, 20 years ago. That's why there's an address, because something was developed there previously.
Question.
Yes,
Can
ma'am.
you speak to the design elements of the live work spaces that he's creating? So like what makes them live work spaces? What are the design elements that provide for that?
Okay, typically, the live workspace in a perfect world, let's say you had a garage area that you would have with your unit. Well, instead of a garage, that's an open space that is for the business to operate from.
And that's what he's doing here.
Yes, ma'am.
Beautiful. Okay.
So he doesn't have to move the kitchen table when somebody comes in for a haircut or a hairdo or whatever, tax preparation.
I think with that though, right? So there's 20 parking spaces for the residents. Are we taking into consideration the fact that there are live workspaces and so people might be coming to support and patronize the businesses? What happens if they need parking?
Well, 2 things. One, the live work space is to be utilized by appointment only. So it's not like 20 people show up at one time. They come as they have an appointment scheduled. Secondly, in this particular area of Opa-locka, on-street parking is irregular, so any overflow would be taken care of by that means.
Thank you.
I actually was about to ask about the street parking. Is that something on that corridor, and I can't remember, that we were trying to? I'm sorry, was that something we were trying to eliminate, the street parking, or no?
No, not in the Magnolia North area. 'Cause
Okay.
that's mostly residential and residential and commercial mix. The major place we were looking at trying to eliminate it or regulate it by charging fees was in the industrial area between 27th Avenue and 22nd.
One more question for you
Yes, sir.
on the premise of the live work units, right? Those are the ones that are on the ground floor and that have the largest square footage. Am I correct in assuming that those bedroom number ones that are on the floor plan are the ones that have the potential to be the actual offices for those live work units?
I would be guessing, but I have not identified the actual units. I believe those are the ones.
It would have to be all the ones
The
above.
applicant.
All the ones above are one
Yes,
bedroom.
okay, yeah, that's the one.
You can have the applicant answer that question.
Yeah.
Can you go to the mic, sir? Can you
Mhm.
go to the mic?
Mhm.
That front bedroom has its own door. That front bedroom has its own door.
Mhm.
So they don't have to go through the apartment to get into that. That's the area that's gonna be designated for like a hairdresser or somebody that does, something that they can control at home, a small business.
So follow-up question, this is for you. Is there a demand, is there a requirement that has to be live work, or is it okay if that's just somebody that's become somebody's 2 bedroom?
The development comes in with the ideology that it's going to be for live work. I'm not sure how we would enforce or make sure or guarantee that they are following it to the letter. But the development is coming in with the understanding that that's what's required because it is a mixed use district.
So it's essentially to preempt. So let's say, for instance, when they first do it, that may not be the case, but maybe 3 years down the line, somebody might have a business. So they don't have to come back here and then ask for an exception to then allow that.
That makes sense.
Okay,
That
gotcha.
makes sense. Mhm.
Thank you.
Right.
I just have a question, because he mentioned that it's gonna be for low income seniors. So are all 12 apartments or the 15 gonna be for low income seniors?
No, 12 of them.
12.
The other 3 in the bottom are not.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. So we'll open it for questions to the public. Okay, no questions from the public. All right, then at this point, can someone move the resolution?
Move it.
Second.
If I may clarify, just before you call the roll on that, is that a motion to approve the site plan
Yes, ma'am.
before you? Okay, we could just state that for the record, so that it's clear. Thank you.
All right, we're going to do a roll call for the approval of public hearing resolution number 1, approval of the site plan. Can I have a roll call, please?
Board Member Hibbert Smith,
Yes.
Board Member Dominguez,
Yes.
Board Member Megan,
Yes.
Board Member Williams,
Yes.
Board Member Mata,
Yes.
Chair Barnes.
Yes.
Item approved.
All right. Now we move on to the second resolution. The City Commission of the City of Opa-locka, Florida, recommending approval or denial of the Rafe Investments Inc. Development Agreement review request for the construction of 15 residential units, 3 live work units, and 12 residential units on the vacant parcel site on Alibaba Avenue and identified by the folio 08212200323900 082122003240 in the BO zoning district and within the Magnolia North mixed use overlay district, providing for an effective date. I don't think we need to have him do another presentation. He just did one.
What we'll do, we'll have Mr. Lee come up and talk about the particulars as it relates to the development agreement so that you'll have a full understanding of that. And then you can follow the agenda.
Sounds good to me.
Gerald Lee. The development agreement is the opportunity for the city to partner with the developer to look after or to encourage economic empowerment through the development that is coming. But by this agreement, they are to agree to support promoting employment while they're doing the construction. And if there's any opportunities after the building is built, to maybe give even opportunity for someone to be employed, maybe in the maintenance or in the supervisory or the rental aspects of the business. It also provides for timelines for when they should submit permits, timelines for when they should begin construction, timelines for when the construction should be completed. It also includes some caveats to allow for, if those timelines aren't met, that they can get an approval from the city manager's office for an extension. All of those things are within the purview of the development agreement. So is there something else you wanted to add, Mr. Gay, to the development agreement ideology?
In some cases, with larger scale projects, there are other aspects of it revolving around employment opportunities, which Mr. Lee has already spoken about, but also opportunities as it relates to renting to persons that are residents within the city of Opa-locka. With this particular one, because it's such a small project, those aren't necessarily going to be put as applicable as it relates to this application. So we're just looking at it as is.
Which page within the packet is the actual development agreement? Do we have a copy of it?
You should.
This is number 2.
If you go, if you look within your package, there is a section that starts off with an explanation of what the project is about. The next page, which has a number 1 at the bottom, is the actual development agreement.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we're going to work on getting these pages numbered for you all.
Are there any questions from the board?
Yes. So I do see here where we are recommending that they work with the Beacon Council, the Meek Foundation, Miami-Dade County Public Schools, Miami-Dade College, as well as with Career Source South Florida. I know we no longer have a Career Source South Florida here. I'm curious how the city facilitates them working with these organizations. Are you all introducing them and making those connections? How does that happen?
This particular document is a boilerplate document that we utilize for all development agreements. So that language is going to be there for every development agreement, depending on the size and scale. The associations that are referenced within this agreement are more so geared toward larger projects that are either industrial or commercial, or I would say a mixed-use project that will probably be in excess of 50 units. Because this is only 15 units, the association with those particular entities is not necessarily applicable for this particular project.
So then to follow up on that, so we are not going to require that they host local job fairs and do different things to make sure that they're hiring folks within who live within the city of Opa-locka?
Based on the scale of the project, we can encourage for them to do that, but we're not making it a strict requirement for this particular project. Unless the board wants to reference otherwise.
Yeah, I would like to recommend that they, hosting a job fair and working with, not Beacon Council, with Career Source South Florida, although they are no longer located here in the city of Opa-locka, I think is small. I don't know how many people they will be hiring here, but I think any effort to make sure that people in the city of Opa-locka are working on local projects, I would recommend that we try to enforce it.
Okay. We'll definitely take that into consideration.
Oh, Ms. Attorney, question for you on that. As that would require, may potentially require a change to the actual development agreement, should we get to a point or a resolution with this particular number, Would I have to amend the respective motion to make sure it includes that caveat that Board Member Williams mentioned?
I don't think we have to do that. I have a different suggestion. If the applicant wants to come forward and respond to that request by the board members, what they're asking is in the development of this project, are you willing to work with the different agencies to try to hire local residents? So if you please come to the mic so we can have it on the record. If he responds to this, he can answer that question. Then yes, it's a part of the record. It's a part of the motion, and that portion of the agreement would be honored. So I'll let Mr. Rafa respond to that question.
Jorge de la Fe. I'm the president of Rafi Investments. The group is my wife and I. So there's no group. And she's the boss. So she's at home, but she's the boss. I know my place in life. I've known her for many years. Been together for 60 years, and I've known her for many, many years.
I love it.
Yes, I would very much wish that if I'm given the entities that you spoke about, I will talk to them to see if they have people. Now, the builder that I usually use, he has his personnel, but I can tell him, hey, I need you to hire. Then that's going to be that project is going to take maybe 10 people to build a whole project. You know, they come every day, they work, and they go home. So maybe I can get him to. I know the person that I use to cut the grass every 2 weeks is Randy Jones. He lives like about 5 blocks away from there.
Beautiful.
And he's the one that's going to do the maintenance
Beautiful.
of the yard and the trees and picking the trash. You know, I don't know if he's laughing. You know Randy Jones?
Oh, no, I'm smiling because I used to live in Magnolia North, and I'm just glad that there's some development that's happening.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes, I would like to. In fact, I would like to have everybody that lives there from the area. People that have their mothers and their grandmothers, and so they can go there and walk and see them constantly. Because that's a plus, that's not a minus.
Mhm.
And I have spoken to a few people in the area, in the houses around, they don't have people, you know, they're younger people. They don't have anybody elderly in their house. That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Attorney, does that suffice?
That is sufficient. It's on the record that he will work with those agencies to try to meet those conditions and hire locally. So there's no objection to that provision remaining in the agreement as well as being enforceable.
Thank you. Do we have any questions from the public? Can I have a board member to either move or deny resolution?
Okay, thank you.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Board Member Hibbert Smith,
Yes.
Board Member Williams,
Yes.
Board Member Mata,
Yes.
and Chair Barnes.
Yes.
Item approved.
Thank you, sir. All right, we're moving along to number 3. A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Opa-locka, Florida, recommending approval or denial of the special exception site plan review request to modify the site to operate a kindergarten located approximately on this 7-parcel site in 1290 Alibaba Avenue and identified by folio 0821210002, 1840, 0821210002, 1850, 0821210002, 1860, 0821210002. Jesus.
That's the attorney's job.
Yes, the numbers continue in the historic district of Opa-locka District, providing for an effective date. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Honorable council people, Madam Attorney, Madam Clerk, Mr. Manager. My name is Al Cruz. I'm a former fire chief in Miami-Dade and decided to continue my service in helping the community, especially navigating through building and compliance issues. And I teamed up with Mr. Manny Roman, who actually has quite a bit of properties in the great city of Opa-locka. He has, I believe, 8. So this would make 9 and 10 because we're talking about 2 different structures. Just so you know, with all the growth happening in the city, he felt that it was important to have a daycare in this particular strategic location. So that's what we're asking for. It's a change of occupancy. It's a daycare and kindergartner. There's different types of daycare. This is considered an educational daycare. That means they're going to teach you and prepare you to move on to elementary school. this particular place it's going to be housing about 139 kids based on the occupancy loads. There's going to be 4 to 5 classrooms in each structure. Very safe, fully sprinklered with fire alarm and all of the codes that are required in the state of Florida and the city of Opa-locka. And basically, we're understand that there's issues as it relates to traffic. So we're working out a stacking program where the kids are going to be checked by a security guard. It's going to be a maximum of 3 to 4 vehicles at different times during the day, because since it's a daycare, they're going to be able to augment. It's not like a school where they directed, hey, you got to be at school at 7:30, 8 o'clock. So based on their age groups, that's how we're going to be able to work out the issues with parking. The other thing is we have quite a large playground. It's about 7,000 square feet. We're about 300 or 400 square feet higher than what we would need for the amount of children that are going to be educated in this facility. Any questions so far? Again, this is much needed, especially with all the growth happening in Alabama. And we went from the elderly to the children. I guess that's what today is about.
Thank you, sir. If there's no questions, Mr. Lee, please do your job.
Gerald Lee, City of Opa-locka Planning and Community Development Department. I'm waiting for the presentation to come up. This particular site, as you notice in the title, we talk about a kindergarten as opposed to a daycare. When I look at the educational or schools legislation, it talks about kindergartens are more for an educational component, whereas the daycare seems to be more for a younger population without the same kind of educational benefits. And even though it kind of includes both, I wanted to include the one that had the most detail and intensity, and it would encompass both. If you look at the legislation, I think the ordinance is Ordinance 1016 is the school location ordinance that we use to determine the zoning district where this can apply. And in this particular instance, that application is being done because this property is within the historic downtown Opa-locka district. If you look at that legislation, that ordinance says that it is the prevailing zoning for the entire area. And so at some point in the presentation, I'm going to show you where that encompasses, so you'll see it. Presentation, please.
In the meantime, while they're doing that, I have a question for you.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm looking at the site plan of the proposed school,
Yes.
and there's a 1-story commercial building on both sides of the parking lot.
Mhm.
Am I to understand that the school is operating out of both of those structures, or just one? Both?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, they're using both of the structures, and the most important aspect that I wanted to make everybody aware of, this is a built environment. They're not building anything new. They're retrofitting the building for the use and adding a large and oversized playground. Because as you know, anytime you do a school or a kindergarten, there is the requirement of, based on the number of kids, that playground area has to be a certain minimum per child. And that's what they're doing. They're giving a play area that exceeds what the minimum requirements are. to be able to do this, this use at that location.
While we wait, also, question, what was the prior use of this building?
It was a church.
Got it.
The main building was the church. The secondary building was an NAAA facility.
Thank you.
Yeah.
One more question for you
Yes,
before you
sir.
get into your presentation.
Mhm.
Were there any conversations on behalf of the city to perhaps increase the size of the play area at the expense of some of the required parking?
Everything that they're adding to the site for a play area is completely new. It was all asphalt.
No, I understand that.
Oh,
I'm-
okay,
I'm,
okay.
I'm looking at the site plan, right? And
Yes,
on the,
sir.
and on the site plan, there is quite a bit of area, right? Like by definition, area for the playground.
Right.
But if you look at the site plan, it is oriented in the shape of an L, so not necessarily like the best sort of actual outline of where a potential play area could be. So my question was, were there any conversations around perhaps an exception into where the required amount of parking spaces that are here on the lot might be sacrificed in lieu of making a more comprehensive play area for the kids that would be in that school, if that makes sense?
Okay. There was not that conversation.
Gotcha.
In our review of it, we looked at that it meets that minimum for play area. In fact, exceeded it, and that it was going to be a new use that was going to bring better activity. In fact, I think the last use on this property was a thrift store, and nothing else was in the rest of the property. Nothing legal. So at least it's going to come back to a higher and better use. So.
Mhm.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Felipe. I'm the owner of Alibaba Daycare. I think you have a very good question, Mr. Barnes, which is expanding the parking lot instead of the playground. And let me share some additional context. We own and operate over 5 schools in Miami-Dade and Broward County, primarily low-income communities, right? We partner with all the main educational bodies like the Early Learning Coalition to offer school readiness, VPK, Early Head Start with United Way, Miami-Dade County with the ELC as well, offer Step Up by students, right? And when we partner with a lot of governmental agencies, like we're going to do in this case as well, they're very strict in different terms. For example, making sure that we keep the right ratios, right, in classroom. And then when we go outside to the play area, they usually require the different age groups to be separated for safety purposes, right? So let me provide some additional context. We wouldn't mix in the same playground a 1-year-old with a 3-year-old. Most daycares would do it, right? But since we are held to a higher standard, that means that we need some additional space in order to provide the kids with, enough space for them to play in a safe environment. If you have any questions, happy to answer them.
The question was more so directed at Mr. Lee, and he answered that they had not had those conversations. I was just thinking from the perspective of if your kids that are playing there and you look at the actual site plan, given the orientation of where the play area is, not exactly conducive to kids having a bunch of freedom to run around. Like there's a massive fence that's on the south side of the lot. They're flanked by parking on the left and the building on the right. So there's basically a strip that's only 17 feet wide that the kids can play with, but they're also less than 5 years old. So it's not like that me, but I'm just saying we have more than enough parking. Do we have enough area for the kids to actually have freedom of movement? And I know that's something that the required parking spaces is necessary, but I think in this case, it would have been a conversation started to say, well, we're willing to remove a few parking spaces so that you can enhance all of the capabilities of learning for the kids. But that would be a zoning thing. That wouldn't be on the client. That would be on you all to suggest that. And yes, I am looking at you, Mr. Mr. Lee. Go for it.
Through the chair. Basically, when they separate the parking from the playground, they're gonna put bollards, they're gonna put a 6-foot fence, and they're gonna put some type of padding and stuff to make sure that there is no incidents. And we are 300 square feet greater than what the city or the county require us to be. with the amount of children that we have. Plus, they're gonna, just like we're doing with the traffic, we're gonna stagger them out, like 10:30, 11 o'clock, BPK and kindergartner. At 12, we'll go ahead and bring out the kids that are 2 and 3 years old, et cetera, so that the same age groups, like Mr. Santos just stated, are gonna be playing together, which is something that we do above and beyond in this particular team that we're working with. They just feel that it's better and more conducive in learning when they're playing with kids their own age.
And I totally understand. It was more so just a design consideration, right? Like
Yes.
I can tell you 1,000 square feet is required. I can give you 1,500 square feet. But if that 1,500 square feet is in an odd place, it's still not useful. You got the extra 500, but what is it actually doing for you? So I was just asking the question, but that was just, I appreciate the clarification. Are there any other questions from the board?
No.
Okay.
Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so schools and daycares, kindergartens are all approved based on special exception review. As you know, this project, the property owner is Mr. I'm sorry, Manny Roman Trust. And you just met the business owners who are proffering this new use. And you already know that there are 7 parcels that make up the site. And the making up of that site is now going to be unified so that this new use occupies the entire square footage of approximately 26,387 feet. As I told you before, this is a built environment, so no new construction of the buildings themselves is going to happen. They may renovate or make modifications to the interior, and they're going to make improvements to the outside to accommodate the recreational space, but that's the only major changes that are happening to the site. Next slide, please. The special exception review is in accordance with ordinance 1016, which is about school development, and ordinance 22-08 is the ordinance that deals with the creation of the historic downtown Opa-locka district. Next slide, please. The criteria for the special exception review is based on the following. It requires the specific approval criteria that this new use is in compliance with the city's comprehensive plan, and it is consistent with the character and purpose of the zoning district. Zoning district is for mixed use, and it actually speaks to allowing this particular use within this zoning district. The size, shape, and character of the property are suited for the proposed use. Yes, and in fact, it's an improvement on the use that has been there for quite some time. Will not adversely affect the development of the general neighborhood or the district. It is a benefit to the district so that other property owners within a small amount of area now has another place that they can bring their kids for the youthful education. Number 5 is number 6 is will not generate vehicular traffic or create vehicular circulation or egress problems or parking demands that have an unfavorable impact on surrounding properties when compared with uses permitted by right in the same district. They are going to provide some mitigation as to traffic stacking and for pickup and drop off to help relieve or reduce any major effect that might happen in this area. Next slide, please. Number 7, the potential for fire and or other equally or greater dangerous hazards. There are no instances that we know of that are going to be created by this use at this property. Number 8, will not create unfavorable environmental impacts or on surrounding uses for noise, glare, smoke, dust, odor, fumes, water pollution, or general nuisance. Number 9 is consistent with existing and planned pedestrian and vehicular circulation adjacent to and near the property. I don't think this interferes with any of those things. And number 10, the site is adequately served by essential public services and facilities and not requiring additional public expense and infrastructure improvements. That is also true. Next slide, please. Will not adversely affect any site or feature of the historical, cultural, natural, or scenic importance. Because they're not building anything new, none of those things are being interfered with. And I think it's going to be a nice thing to see when you drive by and see little people having a good time for a change on this property. Number 12, will not be contrary to the public health, safety, and welfare, provided that a denial based exclusively on the language shall include explicitly findings regarding the way in which granting the special exception would be contrary to the public health, safety, and welfare. I don't think anything about this project is going to be contrary to the public health, safety, and welfare of the city. I think it's a benefit. Next slide, please. That's just an overview of the full property site from overhead that shows the 7 properties. Next slide, please. This is what it looks like from street view. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. As I explained before, the entire area is within the HDOD, the Historic Downtown Opa-locka District. Next slide, please. That's a better depiction of the historic district, downtown west, downtown core, downtown east. Next slide, please. Staff is recommending approval of this special exception to allow for a daycare, kindergarten, youth education, however we want to define it. But I think it's a good use for this property that has been in disuse for quite some time.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. Do we have any questions from the board?
Yes.
Yes.
Whoever would like to go first.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm happy that someone is looking into invest in the city of Opa-locka. However, you're talking about possibly 139 children, and you have Opa-locka Elementary right nearby. I think we might have an issue with the traffic as far as picking up, dropping off. I know for a fact because I went to it, even though it's a different school, I went to pick up my grandson with my daughter, and they had to make a line, like they have to line up almost half an hour before picking up the child, and it's a huge line. If you don't make it within that line, I mean, it's a different school. Let me say it again. If you don't make it within that time frame, they send you back. And yeah, it's so not against it. I love children. Believe me, I have 4 grandchildren, but I'm seeing the overview of all these cars dropping off, picking up children. And I don't know how that's going to affect the city.
Thank you very much for your question, Ms. Dominguez. You bring up a very good point, which is traffic flow, right? That's very important. And we went in detail with Miami-Dade County when getting the plans approved of how would this work. And indeed, it takes some magic to make it work. And I would tell you that in our other locations, which are located as well in main thorough streets and crosstown streets, right? We've been able to master that art. So how does it work? First of all, how Mr. Cruz was saying earlier today is we have staggered pickup and drop-off time, right? So we're planning to have 9 classrooms, right? Each classroom is going to have a different pickup and a different drop-off time. So, for example, the 1-year-old class will not combine with the 2-year-old class at the same time. On top of that, we will have a designated security guard, which is what we do at our other locations in order to make sure that the parents park in one of the designated spaces. They do a smooth drop off, right? And usually what causes traffic is not lack of space, is usually people do not know where to park, or they occupy two parking spaces, or they just park in the middle of the drive-in, right? So the security guard works extremely well because it organizes a traffic flow. And then on top of that, since these are small kids, like Mr. Barnes was saying, we have a designated escort who's also a teacher. That person is there at pickup and drop off time. And what that person does is think about like a greeter. They come in, they greet the parent, they greet the kid, and they take them inside the building. That we also do that to ensure student safety, but also helps out with the traffic flow. From years of experience doing this, the combination of the security guard along with the greeter has worked extremely well, and as well as having designated times for pickup and drop off for each specific age group. If you have any questions, happy to answer them.
Board Member Williams, you just have a question?
Yes, my questions were related to traffic flow as well. I think you've answered them.
I'm glad to hear that.
I think, yeah. I'm curious, will the school zone extend to, because I know there's a school not too far from here, right? The elementary school?
That is correct. We have an elementary school, which we will be overlapping only one grade level. And we don't plan to have the same hours as they have, given that it's daycare, it's a little bit more flexible, the hours. And it's not like the school, which I understand Ms. Dominguez point that, yeah, I've driven through that school and many other schools, and they're all getting at the same time. And that's what really causes the trouble. So what we plan to do is, have the greeter, have the security guard, and have staggered times at which people come to drop off and pick up their kids in the afternoon, because you may have traffic not only in the morning, but you may have traffic in the afternoon as well. So that helps really well. And then something else to keep in mind, especially during also drop off and pickup time, is the windows are so wide, meaning that they could be dropping off a child at 7 in the morning and they could be dropping off a child at 10 in the morning. It's not like an elementary school that, drop off happens within a 15 or 20-minute window. Here, that wider window actually gives us flexibility in order to have a much better traffic flow.
Just for clarification, Madam Attorney, I just want to make sure, because this specific resolution is merely for the modification of the site to even allow the kindergarten, right? So if there were certain provisions that the board wanted to add, that would actually be on the next resolution, which is about the developer agreement, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So just to the board, just as a reminder, this specific resolution is merely, are we allowing them, or are we recommending they're even allowed to have a kindergarten on the site? Like to open this to the public? Please say your name.
My name is Sarah Allen. Okay, and I do have several questions for both the board and the company, which is St. Matt's Capital LLC. I know you all have other names that I saw up there on the presentation. Okay, first off, I am a third grade teacher reading for Dr. Robert B. Ingram Elementary. My first question is, how will this business affect Dr. Robert B. Ingram Elementary, since it will incorporate kindergarten? Now, on the proposal here, it says kindergarten, but they are stating daycare, but still the kindergarten affects us and the daycare. Why? Because we also have BPK at our school. Next question, will funds be diverted from my Dr. Robert B. Ingram school to now a private school? Next question I have, how is the project working with Dr. Robert B. Ingram Elementary School? Because I heard that comment that the business is going to work with the school. Next question I have here is, where are these 139 kids coming from? Is it coming from our community or coming from another community and they're bringing the kids to that school? That's another question, because I know some schools, they have for their wanting a school, but they're placing it in a different community, and those children are coming from there, and they're not actually in our community. So that's another question I have. Next, I have here that the school where they propose, where they would like to have it built, the railroad track is literally in the backyard. So now, what is the safety of it? Heaven forbid, we don't want no accident to happen. But literally, there's only, I think they had mentioned a gate, a fence, and then there's the railroad tracks. In addition to that, by me working at Dr. Robert B. Ingram Elementary, sometimes the trains do make the sounding of their horn. How would that noise be affecting the children that are literally, the only thing divide them is a fence? That's another thing to put in consideration, unless, because I know one of the gentlemen said that he works with the fire department or used to, whatever his career was, but I know it dealt with that. Are they going to have the school soundproof that the children does not hear this truck zooming by on the traffic? I work at Dr. Robert B. Ingram Elementary School. Sometimes I have to stop my lesson so that the train can go by. Then I will continue talking because I have competition with the AC and the train, and I literally will have to wait. So that's another thing to consider, because I know it's educational. They're teaching the kid, will be teaching the kids at that school. They have to put that in consideration, the sound. Next question I have, the traffic. I know they speak about it. I know you all asked, but when he was saying with the flow of the traffic, you have to remember, if you have daycare, they have to take those kids out of the car seat. Between my daughter and now my grandson, you don't just pop them out of the car seat in less than 1 minute. So how is that going to affect the traffic? Because they're not going to rush to get these babies out of the car seat, because the new car seats they have now, I mean, they are really a lot of things you got to be buckling in to have them. So that is something to consider in regards to the flow of that traffic. And especially if they have more than one child to take out of that car. So now that is something to in consideration. Then I have here where I saw something on the special exception review, where it says affect in regards to affecting the district. This is going to affect Dr. Robert B. Ingram Elementary, not only with the kids, but those of us who work there. Because less enrollment means less teachers, and we will be losing our job. And of course, not down in any charter schools, because you have the right to create your own business. But we know that when these businesses come up, we lose enrollment at our school, which means to say less people needs to be working at the school, and teachers will lose their jobs. So I know they say they're going to work with the district, but for me, that is not working with the district. Because these kids of 139 that they're saying, if they're coming from our community, all of these kids go over there. We lost a kindergarten teacher. We lost a BPK teacher. So that needs to be in consideration. Again, I do not down anyone that wants to do a business, but it also in consideration. And then it's like you come in our backyard to come and say, I'm going to build something here, but I'm not going to affect Dr. Robert B. Ingram Elementary. And based on what I was hearing from the proposed from the city, what I was hearing from the company, no, this business is greatly going to affect Dr. Robert B. Ingram, both internally and externally. Okay, so that is my questions that I have between the board, the city, and the company. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your questions, and thank you very much for your service and for being a teacher. I think it's one of why I got into this business in first place, because it's a great way to give back to the community. So I took notes here from each of your points, and I'm happy to go one by one in detail, and we can make it as interactive as we can. Feel free to hop in and ask me any follow-up questions if you need. So first point that you had was about the grade levels overlapping. That's a very good point. And let me give you some additional context. So the way we think our school is going to work with the elementary school is actually going to be a complement. It's not going to be a substitute. And let me elaborate why. We offer additional options, meaning that we offer options for example, for summer camp. We're going to be open 365 days a year. Students can come here. We offer an additional option for after school. I'm not sure if the elementary school offers after school options, but they can also join our program in order to enjoy a different variety of activities. As I had said earlier, we work with different governmental entities, meaning that most of the kids are going to be coming tuition free, right? So we see ourselves as a complement to the elementary school. We do not see ourselves as a substitute to the school. In terms of your next questions, if funds are going to get diverted, that's a complete no. And the reason why is public schools in Miami-Dade County get primarily funded by the Florida Education Finance Program. That is a non-governmental entity that consolidates funds from local, state, and federal funds, right? And then they distribute that to the public schools. We do not get funded by the Florida Education Finance Program at all. As I had said earlier, we get funded by different entities, primarily the Early Learning Coalition of Miami-Dade and Monroe County, which is a completely different set of funds. We also get funded by Step Up by Students, which is a state program and comes from a completely different channel. And then we get funded by United Way, which many of you have heard about. It's a non-for-profit entity based here in Miami, Florida, that works with a lot of daycares that offer services to low-income families. Where are the children coming from? The children are primarily coming from the Opa-locka community. Opa-locka has 1,000 students, 1,000 kids under the age of 5. That is our market, right? Which is completely different from the elementary, which targets kids that are older. We may overlap in 1 or 2 grade levels, as you said, in VPK, right? But we offer an additional option in case somebody wants to go somewhere else for those grade levels. On top of that, Opa-locka, we think, and this is more of a personal anecdote, is in our other daycares, which are located in Liberty City, Brownsville, Little Haiti, right? A lot of the families do not necessarily reside in the area where their children attend. We have found out that offering a daycare is good for the community and it's good for business. Because what a lot of parents do is they would rather, many people commute 30 to 45 minutes each way. They do not want to be 30 or 45 minutes away from their child. They want to be close by. So they send their child to a facility that's in proximity to where they work, right? So being able to offer this is a way to help out local businesses and attract talent that not only is in Opa-locka, but can actually help grow businesses within Opa-locka, having a positive impact in the community. On top of that, we work, you had mentioned a point about teachers potentially losing their job. That's not going to happen. Actually, what we're doing is we're expanding the pool of teachers, right? By increasing the supply of educational facilities, we can actually hire more teachers. So you've probably seen this, and I've seen it in my other schools, is there's currently a shortage of teachers. People do not want to be teachers. So what we're doing is we've come up with our own university, meaning that we work very closely with Career Source, with different placement specialists, and we go after people that, didn't think about becoming a teacher. So what we do is we give them an opportunity, we bring them over, we pay them to come in for our training program. They come, we train them, we get them their 45 hours, we get them their CDA certificate, which are the basic licensing requirements for any daycare and preschool employee, right? And then we teach them the basics of the job and we convert them into teachers. So we're actually doing quite the opposite. Instead of actually reducing the number of teachers or getting teachers from one place or another, we're actually expanding that pool, and that helps your profession grow over time. Let me keep going through my notes. You brought a very good point as well on railroad safety and noise. The interior of our schools they will be furnished with acoustic panels and foam. This reduces the noise. On top of that, we go through different environmental testings. One of them are noise levels. So we need to make sure, I'll give you an example, for us to be able to partner with Early Head Start from Miami-Dade County as well. One of the things they do in the pre-qualification is they measure the noise level in the room. If the noise level is high, they won't award us a contract. So it's that simple. We need to make sure we are compliant, and I don't know the exact noise level that's going to be whenever we install the acoustic tiles and the foam, but if that noise level is very high, I won't have a business, and I'm going to need to do something about it in order to make sure that those noise levels come down. And then the last point we had, which is on traffic, you brought also a very good point, which is absolutely, and I never intended to say that a parent of a 3-year-old is going to be doing a pickup or a drop-off in 1 minute or 2 minutes. The average pickup and drop-off time actually takes about 6 minutes. That's what we have observed in our other facilities, right? We're going to have 9 classrooms, approximately 12 students per classroom. We plan to do the staggered pick up and drop off time every 30 minutes, as I had said, and this gives more than ample time, more than the average 6-minute pick up and drop off time, in order to make sure everybody has a smooth transition and there's no traffic accumulation in Alibaba Avenue. Any questions? Happy to answer them.
Through the chair, I would like to bring up one thing, that of the 139 kids, that's simply the maximum allowable amount of children based on the occupancy for safety. Of those, only 42 can be kindergartner. The rest are all going to be 4 or 5 and down. Because we have different requirements for educational than daycare with building and fire. So if you look on here, there's only a couple educational rooms in each one of the structures. Just wanted to bring that up for clarification.
I do have a quick question. So you said 42 are kindergarten, but I think I heard you say that you were going to do VPK as well. So is that inclusive of VPK?
VPK is considered like pre-K.
Right,
So
I know.
that wouldn't be included in
So that is included. So that's both VPK and kindergarten. You're saying that number is 42.
that. Right now, we have it as educational. And basically, it's the way that the actual classrooms are constructed.
Mhm.
VPK, according to the state of Florida, is considered daycare. Not
Got it.
education.
Okay, got it, got it. And so then to that point though, how many VPK students do you envision you will have in the space?
That information you have?
I can come up and give you a number, right? But I'm going to be completely honest. Usually what happens is we have an idea of how many students we're going to get. Roughly, if I were to guess, we'd probably be getting 15 BPK students in the first year. But again, that number changes on multiple factors.
Thank you.
Did I see other hands in the audience from the public? Come forward, please. And please state your name.
I'm Dr. Cynthia Clay. I just wanted to come to speak regarding how you said you would complement the school. We currently have a summer program where our children, as well as residential children from other areas, attend. We also have 2 after-school programs that offer excellent care to our students. So those are things we would not be in need of. I also had a question. You spoke about the pre-K and kindergarten. Do you have plans of expanding more grade levels as the years pass?
Through the chair, based on the zoning requirement and square footage, the answer is we cannot go further than kindergartner in that space.
And just another point you made about the 42 students, that would be 2 of my classrooms, 2 of my kindergarten classrooms. And the VPK we also offer as well. You said 15 students. My VPK offers 20 students. So this will be a conflict, as you can see, with everything that's been pointed out by one of my teachers, as well as the things you say you can complement our school with. At this point, it just seems as a conflict and taken away from our school opposed to helping it. Thank you.
Dr. Clay, I have a really quick question. I am curious, has there been any prior discussion between these operators and you at the school, or is this the first time you all are connecting?
Now, this is my first time.
Okay, all right. Okay, thank you.
Any other public comments? Please state your name for the record.
Good evening, I'm Shirley Bass. I've been in education for 25 years at Dr. Robbie B. Ingram Elementary School. Everything my principal has said, as well as our teacher, I concur with it. I am not in agreement with having another school down the street from us. Yes, and some of it's just selfish reasons, because Opa-locka Elementary used to be Opa-locka Elementary. Now Dr. Robert B. Ingram Elementary is a stable school in our community. That's the school where the majority of our kids attend. We are at risk being closed. Believe it or not, you all know what's going on. And to add to it would not be a positive for us as a community, as Opa-lockians, as some would say. And again, I'm trying to envision that main thoroughfare with traffic coming, you know, like this. I just can't see it. It's already bombarded in the mornings, and to add 6 minutes per vehicle, to me, that's going to create an issue as well. Thank you.
I have,
You go for it. No, you go.
I have a question regarding the train track that's immediately behind the school. There was a church there before, which I could imagine probably was kids there, maybe Bible school, maybe Sunday school with children. What was the remedy for that safety hazard when it was used as a church opposed to now as a school?
I'll address that. The building that they just acquired has not operated for a church for a number of years. I've been here at least 10 years, and I don't recall it functioning as a church for at least 8 out of the 10 years that I've been here. Now, as it relates to whether they provided the particular services for children and things of that nature, we're not aware of what was done previously. If it was incorporated as a part of the church programming itself, they didn't have to go through any particular licensure for Sunday school and things of that nature. So staff is not aware as to how that was done previously. It was utilized as a church. The building has been there for a number of years. I think it was built in the 1940s, 1950s, somewhere in that time period. So, and I think that's only the church building. The retail space was done like in the 60s and 70s. So they have some, the buildings have functioned as other things over the years. So we're not familiar with how that was integrated into as part of the train operations. As we know, with Tri-Rail operating, that has increased in the frequency of trains passing through Opa-locka. Prior to that, you just had, Amtrak, which runs 3 trains a day in and out. You do have it, and it still provide the rail line still provides cargo, which is moved through the city at least 2 to 3 times a day as well. So there's a lot of train traffic that comes through our city. A lot of train traffic. Even just with Tri-Rail, they're on a 20 to 30 minute headway. So every 20 to 30 minutes, and I'm speaking to, those that are in education, you hear a train go by every 20 to 30 minutes, every day.
As someone who worked across the street, it is very loud, very, very loud. And I imagine a church assuming they were there on Sundays, it's a slower schedule than it is, during rush hour. It is incredibly busy and very loud. I do have a quick question for Dr. Clay. I would be curious to know, how many students do you have at Robert B. Ingram currently, and what is the capacity of your school?
We have 224 students and the capacity is 528.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Well, I'm sorry, come back.
Oh.
How long have you been there?
This is my 16th year.
Okay, let me ask you, have you seen a decline in numbers
Yes.
in the last 5 years? Have you guys ever been to capacity?
Yes. Before I arrived there, the capacity was over the 500 because we used to have portables there. We used to have 10 additional portables. So the enrollment was over 1,000 at one point. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Do we have any other questions from the public? Okay, so at this point, we move forward to move the resolution. And then once we do roll call, we'll know if this resolution passes. Absolutely.
Just one final comment is, and this is primarily to the board who's going to be voting, right? Is I think our educators bring a very good point, which is, yeah, they want stability for the school. And if I were in your shoes, I would be doing the same. Now, and again, everybody may have different viewpoints. I'm a strong believer in school choice, which is offering options to the parents and to the students of the community. And that's where the viewpoints may differ, right? You said you offer the after school, you offer the summer camp, and that is fantastic, right? And I'm a believer that parents need to have a choice in terms of what they decide. Maybe they don't want to enroll in a specific summer camp. Maybe they want to enroll in one of my athletic classes that we're going to be offering, one of our karate classes, one of our soccer classes, right? And it's about giving options to the community for them to choose. And that not only goes for summer camp, that not only goes for after school, but that also goes for VPK and kindergarten, because the curriculum may not be the same here, may not be the same there, as well as the hours, as well as the teachers, as well as what the students are going to be learning, right? And we're doing this to actually offer options to the parents, and each parent can decide what's better for them. If they like the public school curriculum, they like what the teachers are offering, they're more than free to sign up there. If they feel more aligned with what we're offering, they can come and sign up with us, right? I believe in a free market system and let the best player win, pretty much.
Thank you so much for that. I'm curious, have you all considered, or will you consider, not including grades that overlap with the school?
We have considered, and it does not make financial sense for us not to offer VPK and kindergarten, and let me elaborate why. VPK is, as many of you probably know in this room, it's universal preschool, meaning that everybody, regardless of race, religion, income, demographic, everybody qualifies, right? Same with Step Up, which is the program that covers kindergarten. So without those two, we believe there is no way for us to pay our teachers competitive wages and be able to maintain our facility in good shape.
Yeah, and I just want to maybe acknowledge something that you said earlier today, which is where you said that the funds wouldn't get diverted. You mentioned the funds that public school gets, which are state and federal funds. But if I'm not mistaken, ELC those are both federal and state funds, and Step Up for Students, those are state funds as well, definitely correct. So they are all public funds. And so ultimately, some of the funds that potentially go to public schools are being redirected to private school institutions like yours. Is that correct?
Yes, and let me elaborate.
Thank
so
you.
the funds come from three major channels, right? You have the federal funds, you have the state funds, and then you have local funds, right? Now, where it differs, and this is probably where I didn't provide enough clarity, is the entities that consolidate these funds are different, right? So you have, for example, Miami-Dade County, they consolidated funds for the Head Start and the Early Head Start program. United Way does that for the daycare program. Early Learning Coalition does that, right? They're not getting funded by the Early Learning Coalition or by any of those entities that are funding me. Now, that may come from the same federal grant that is coming from DC, but the entities allocating the funds at a local level are completely different to the ones funding the public schools.
Yeah,
So
but I
there would
also
be no
want, I
competition.
also want to be clear that for every student that leaves Robert B. Ingram, that is less money
Right.
that they get, and that then in turn affects their enrollment. And potentially what we see is a world in which our public school, the only elementary school in Opa-locka, could potentially be shut down.
My comment, for example, and let me elaborate. Let's use the example of a VPK student. If a VPK student decides to enroll with me instead of in the public school, then in that case, the VPK funds would come to me. Indeed, that's in the grade levels we overlap.
Thank you for that.
We, of course, we're sharing the program, which is VPK. For the kindergarten, we are not overlapping with the same program because public schools do not accept step up by students.
No, but and I just want to clarify. When a child, so if a child decides not to go to that elementary school, that funding leaves with the child. They don't get that funding anymore. So although they're not getting step up for students, and I don't know, it's like 7,500. I don't know what the figure is down to the cent, but when that child is leaving that elementary, that funding leaves the school. And I'm very aware of what's going on in Miami-Dade County and Broward County. And they are shutting schools down because of the plethora of schools and school choice. Not only that, and I guess this is not really a question, but I do want to reiterate that now you have a school that is right behind a train track, and I can hear the train miles away, and I'm never near, like I'm not in a constant place, but it is a very loud obstruction for the day-to-day operations when we're talking about children. We're not talking about
It's not an industrial company, yes.
an industrial thank you. We're talking about our students that you said are probably going to come from the city of Opa-locka. Now having I mean, I could just imagine the teacher here saying she has to stop and pause and fight between the AC and the train. Now, what does that look like for our students? And so I just wanted to be clear, although the funding source is not the same for kindergarten, when a child leaves that school, they are now not getting that funding, which means if they have a facility that can have the capacity for 528 students, and those numbers shift to under 200, we've got a problem, not just with VPK in kindergarten, we've got a problem with first, second, third. They don't just shut half of the school down. We have a very huge problem there. And so just consider that. And I was going to ask the same question. Would you consider not having VPK in kindergarten? But I also know that that probably doesn't make financial sense.
That's a very good point. And so 2 comments. Number 1 is, I don't know the way public schools get funded. I'm not a subject matter expert on that topic. What I can share are what I was saying earlier, which is a lot of parents that may live in Miami Gardens, they may live close by, but they work in Opa-locka. They want to have their child close by, right? And they may, remember, we're going to have infant room, 1-year-old class, 2-year-old class, 3-year-old class, right? So VPK and kindergarten is less than half of our enrollment, right? And then what could happen, which could be a positive impact for the elementary school, is a mom who lives in Miami Gardens may say, I want to sign up or lives close by, I want to sign up my kid here, right? In Opa-locka, in my elementary school. And then maybe for summer camp or for after school, they want to bring them over to the elementary school. Now, I don't know what's their acceptance policy, if they need to live in the city of Opa-locka, but we would be bringing additional people into this geography.
So I would I think we've exhausted the amount of questions between not only the public, but as well as the board and the applicant. I think at this point, there's been enough information to go around for board members to make an informed decision on this specific item. So I think it's in our best interest to move towards the actual voting on said item.
Mr. Chair, board members, if I may make a comment, Mr. Lee mentioned it in his presentation. One of the things that's required, as a statutory requirement, also part of the city's code. If the board is inclined to deny the special exception use at this location for some of the reasons that I've heard you discuss, I want to point you to, and if you don't have a copy up there, I will give this to you to take a look at, the 11 criteria in the city's code. It's actually 12. So you can look at those and state your basis and your reason for a denial of an application. If you're going to make a motion to approve it, it's not a concern, but I just want to caution you, take a couple of minutes and look at the criteria if you're inclined to do that, to make sure you can state your reason for it.
What page is it on?
One additional thing, Madam Attorney, because I recognize that that is one potential avenue. Isn't there also the potential avenue of an individual moving the application forward and then the subsequent votes not having enough to actual make it approved as well?
Repeat that one more time. Want to make sure I'm following you.
Sure. So in the event that a board member moves this resolution forward for approval,
Yes.
it is seconded, and then we get to the roll call portion. In that roll call portion, don't the board members also have the ability to decline support? And should that motion fail, effectively gives the same circumstance as immediately denying via one of these criteria in the document.
Correct. Just when you deny the application, the applicant needs to know why. It would also be to the benefit of the city commission as it moves forward to say, what was your concern based on this criteria? Because that's what you're judging this application by. I appreciate the comments from the teachers as well as the principal, but you want to look at the criteria. That's what we're obligated to review and base the approval or denial on.
Got it.
Thank you.
Understood. So can we have a few moments for the board members to review the documents?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Do board members need additional time?
No.
Okay, so at this point, we will either move to approve or deny resolution number 3.
I'd like to make a motion to deny this resolution, and I think you want me to name off all the reasons. Is that correct?
We can get a motion and second as the roll call is called. If you would state the item number and the criteria, if you like to do it that way, if you would like to elaborate, that's certainly at your discretion, but you can reference one of the criteria and enumerate it in your packet.
I think we'll take that approach. Do I have a second to the denial of resolution number 3?
Claudian seconds.
Roll call, please.
Board Member Hibbert Smith,
Yes.
And you have to identify a criteria on the document.
Criteria number 7, criteria number 8.
Board Member Dominguez,
I am disagreeing with the special exception for the number 6, which is the traffic. That's basically my main one, which I discussed earlier.
Board Member Megan,
Um, I would say yes, and my criteria is number 6.
Board Member Williams,
Yes. Number 4, non-compatibility. Number 6, vehicular traffic. Number 8, I put it's unfavorable environment impacts. I'm sure the unfavorable environmental impacts are to the community. I'm more concerned about the kids, so I might be looking at that wrong. And I'll just leave it there.
Board Member Mata,
Yes, and I'm also considering the special exception of 6 and 8 as well.
Chair Barnes,
Yes, number 6 and number 8.
item did not pass.
So, Mr. Gay, considering the item did not pass, how do we want to deal with resolution number 4?
We will still deal with resolution number 4 because it is an item that will proceed forward with item number 3 to the commission meeting. So we would need to take that particular item up and we will have to have a vote. I would probably conclude that the vote may be similar, but this resolution 4 is dealing specifically with the development agreement. So there may be other aspects that you may want to have addressed in the development agreement based on your responses of the criteria that was expressed in item 3. So
Sure.
we need to move forward to that item.
So we'll move forward to item number 4. I'll spare the lengthy text. We've had a presentation from the client, and we've also had a presentation from the department. What to assume, we do not need additional presentations at that point.
If there are no other points that need to be addressed from the developers agreement, that will be it.
Okay, so I just want to make clear to the board, if there were things that you may have saw in the special exception review that you feel could be added to the developers agreement, this is the opportunity, but also please be aware that while things may be able to be placed within the developers agreement, some of those things are not actually able to be enforced. They are encouraged. So that said, would the public like to make any other comments or have states already been claimed? All right, so we are now at the point of either approval or denial of resolution number 4. We'd like to make a motion.
I make a motion to deny it.
Have a second.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Board Member Herbert Smith,
Yes.
Board Member Dominguez,
Yes.
Board Member Megan,
Yes.
Board Member Williams,
Yes.
Board Member Mata,
Yes.
and Chair Barnes.
Yes.
Item did not pass.
Thank you.
As was previously expressed, the item will still move forward before the city commission for their consideration.
Yep. So thank you all for coming with us this evening. It is now 7:22 p.m. and we are adjourning this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, by the way, I do have an announcement. It's bittersweet. Our secretary, Miss Diana Chang, has informed us that she will be retiring at the end of this month. That's the sweet part. The bitter part is
You're
we
the new
will be-
secretary?
I might have to be, but we will be losing one of our crown jewels in our department who has
For sure.
really improved our level of efficiency